Hello everyone, welcome back. It's great to have you here today. Today we'll be revising percentages. We will be going through some questions to cover all the skills we need. Please get your pen and paper ready and work through these questions with me. The first question we are going to do is to increase 80 by 30%. This might seem easy. There are two methods. The first one, we know that 100% is 80, therefore 10% is going to be 0.8. Therefore 30% is going to be 3 times 0.8, which is 2.4. Increase 100% by 30%, that will give us a total of 130%. So that means we needed to do 80 plus 2.4. So that will give us 82.4. There is actually an easier method. So 80 is the starting point, increasing by 30%. So 100 increased by 30%, that will be 130%, which is 1.3 as a decimal. So if we do 80 times 1.3, we'll get the same answer. And this is much easier than method 1. Let's move on to the next question. In the next question, it says, I used to weigh 50 kilograms, and over Christmas, my weight is increased by 23%. So now I need to work out how much do I weigh now. So 80 kilograms, that is the starting point. That's before I gain weight. So that goes into the first circle. I start with 100%. I increase it by 23%. Therefore, I have 123%. So that is 1.23 as a decimal. So 80 times 1.23, that is 61.5. So that is my ending point. Okay, now move on to the next one. A dress usually costs £55, and now it's in a sale, and its price has been reduced by 12%. What we need to do now is to find out how much does it cost. So £55, that is my starting price. So that goes into the first circle. It's being reduced by 12%. So then 100% take away 12%. That gives us 88%. As a decimal, is 0.88. So now if we do 55 times 0.88, that should give us the final answer, which is 48.4. Just to summarize, if it's being increased, you are going to add that percentage to 100%. And if it's being decreased, you're going to take that away from 100%. We always start with 100%. And then based on the question, we can decide what is our scale factor. With these questions, we always start from two circles and an arrow, going from the starting point to the ending point. Okay, now moving on to the next one. This one is slightly different. My pen cost me $6.80 in a 20% off sale. And what I want to do now is to find out how much does it cost originally. So what I need to do is to draw ourselves two circles with an arrow. Now the next question I need to think about is where should that number go? 6.8. That is the price after the discount. So it goes into the second circle. Now this pen, I bought it in a sale that offers 20% off. So take 20% off our starting 100%. That gave us 80%. So that means going from the first circle to the second circle, I'll go by times by 0.8, and that gives me 6.8. So if I want to go back to find the original price, what I needed to do is 6.8 divided by 0.8. And then I should be able to find my original price, which is £8.50. Now in this question, most people will try to divide by 1.2 or times by 1.2. Just be really careful. The scale factor doesn't change. We find the scale factor based on the question, whether it's increasing or decreasing. And then if we go forward, we need to multiply. If we wanted to go backwards, we need to divide. Okay, so now move on to a slightly different question. So now I'm given the starting point and then the ending point. I needed to find out the percentage change. A house that used to cost £170,000 and now it costs £227,800. So what we needed to find is the percentage increase. Then again, there are two different methods. Method number one, what you would do is you will find the percentage, the amount that has been increased. So what you do is you do £227,800, take away £170,000, and then that gives you the amount that is being increased. So 57,800 is the amount is increased out of 170,000, which is the original price. Times by 100, that should give us the percentage increase. And that is 34%. Now, with our bubble diagram, what can we do? Again, I started with two circles and an arrow going from the first circle to the second circle. Original cost is 170,000. That goes into the first circle. The second circle is the price at today. So that is 227,800. So what I needed to do is to find the scale factor taking us from the first number to the second number. Now, the scale factor is the second number over the first number. If we set it as x, we can solve the equation to find x. which is 227,800 over 170,000. And by simplifying that, we will get 1.34. Now 1.34 is 134%. That is 100% add 34%. So that's a 34% increase. And both methods will give us the same answer. Sometimes there are more than two circles are involved. So let's look at this question. So I have £100 in my bank account. Thanks to the interest, the amount is increased by 5%. And then I withdraw 5% from the total. So the question is, how much do I have in my bank? Now the answer isn't £100. Okay, let's do it step by step. First, I'm going to draw myself two circles with an arrow going from the first circle to the second circle. I start with £100. Now the amount is increased by 5%. So that means I have 105% in the end. So 105 as a decimal is 1.05. 100 times 1.05, that gives us £105. Now I withdraw 5%. So now this 5% is 5% of 105. If I withdraw 5%, that means I have 95% in my bank. So then that is 0.95. 105 times 0.95. That is £99.75 in my bank account. So now this is slightly different to the amount I have at the beginning. It's because our starting point is different. Now I have covered all possible type of questions. Now we go forward, we go backward. When we go forward, we multiply. When we go backwards, we divide. And we also revised how to find the percentage change. So let's work on some exam questions. So the first question, Anna is going to invest £2,500 for 3 years. Now the interest rate is different. It's a 3.5% for the first year and 2.5% for the second year and onwards. Now the question is, how much will Anna get after 3 years? There are more than two circles involved because there are 3 years. First, it's being increased by 3.5%. So then that means I have 103.5% in the end. So the scale factor is 1.035. So I have £2,587.5. Come to the second year, the interest rate is 2.3%. So then that means I have 102.3% in my bank account. What I have is I multiply 2,587.5 by 1.023, and that will give me the amount of money I have by the end of second year. And then we will repeat for the third year. In the end, we have 2,707.89. Okay, so now B is going to invest the same amount of money for 3 years. So now the compound interest is 2.9% per year. So that means every year the interest rate is the same. But then your starting point is different. So that 2.9% in the second year is on the total amount of money you have by the end of the first year. Okay, so what we can do is similarly draw some circles. There are 3 years, so there are 4 circles involved. The starting point is 2,500. The scale factor is 1.029. So by the end of the first year, I'll multiply these two numbers together. And by the end of the second year, I have 2,572.50 in the bank account. With this amount, I multiply by the same scale factor for my second year. And then I'll do the same for the third year. As we can see, now we have 2,723.87 in the end. Well, an easy way to do it, as we can see, we are multiplying by the same scale factor 3 times. That 3 comes from the 3 years, which is the time. So we start from 2,500. We times by 1.029 3 times. So what we can do is times by 1.029 to the power of 3. And that will give us the same answer. Okay, so now let's look at the final example. So now imagine we have a cuboid. The length is x, the width is x, and the height is y. Now I have another cuboid. X is being increased by 26%. Y is being increased by 11%. And what we need to do is we need to find out what is the percentage change in the volume. So what we can do is to find the new dimension of the cuboid. X being increased by 26%. So now we know the scale factor is 1.26. So the new length is going to be 1.26x. The new width is the same, 1.26x. Y is being decreased by 11%. So then that means we have 89% left. So y times by 0.89, that gives us 0.89y. Now if we look at the volume of the original cuboid, volume is width times length times height. that gives us x squared y. Similarly, if we work out the volume of the new cuboid, that is 1.26x times 1.26x times 0.89y. So that should give us 1.41 x squared y. From the original shape to the new shape, we have to times by 1.41, where 1.41 is 141%, and that is 100% plus 41%. So the percentage increase is 41%. That is it for today. Well done for making through to the end, especially if you have done those questions yourself. Remember, maths isn't a spectator sport. You have to keep practicing to be better at maths. Happy revising, and I'll see you in the next video.